Hey guys, and welcome back to the first week of the Queensland High School League of Legends Championship. First week of finals, sorry. My name is Mitch Replays Anderson, and once again, I'm joined by Josh Kana Ayanu. How you going, Josh?
Good, mate. You?
Yeah, not doing too bad. Good to get back into casting after a couple of days off. Of course, last week we did take a break after the conclusion of our regular season, in which we've taken the top 24 teams across the state and put them in an elimination bracket in the next 4 weeks, and we'll find out who is the champion, the best League of Legends high school in all of Queensland. Last year, of course, Kelvin Grove took out that title, and I'm not sure if they ran the top cut this year, unfortunately, so it looks like we'll have a new champion crown. There's a couple of hot front runners. But of course, this week, the top 8 teams got to pass a bye. So we're just looking at the bottom 16 teams. And the schools we've got coming at you today, Mountain Creek High School versus Moreton Bay Boys College. Interesting matchup between these both sides. What do you think about the two teams?
So I was having a brief look at some VOPGGs, and there's quite a bit of rank disparity between the two. But that doesn't mean it's a guaranteed loss for the lower ranked side. There is still a fair things at play that could go wrong. They could have an unsuccessful draft and be put behind from the get-go.
Most definitely.
Honestly, it really comes down to picks right now, and especially with as we saw with patch 10.8, 10.9, and what we're currently on being 10.10, things are going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, precisely right. And before we get into the main part of our broadcast today, obviously we've been partnered with Legion by Lenovo for the past few weeks. Lenovo's Legion gaming brand is designed for both work and play, for use in and out of the office. Very stylish, minimalistic design overall, so it doesn't look out of place in an office. It doesn't look too gamey, too chunky, anything like that. It's very slim, sleek, modern-looking equipment. Lenovo is very happy to support us in this Queensland High School League of Legends Championship and support all esports development in all, making sure that every young person has an opportunity to find a career in sports or in gaming outside of traditional routes. And so from all of us here at the Queensland High School League of Legends broadcast team, we thank Lenovo for partnering with us. And of course, their fantastic gaming brand, Legion.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they did that. Sorry.
And of course, we've actually got our first kind of sponsored thing by Legion coming in. We have the Legion by Lenovo Savage Play of the Week, where we collect the best highlights from the past week 8 of play. And all of us here at the Queensland High School League of Legends Championship team got to pick what we thought was the best play of this week. Let's give a look at the highlights.
Oh boy, this will be fun.
Now Facebreaker may come out of set, pull back Asian Lucian, he's stuck in, gets that showstopper, thrown back into the enemy AD carry, and back to the base he goes. Before about getting pulled apart,
that was my time, dog. I'm on my way to become an icon, jobbing to get your climb on, to get to the level that I'm on. I am the greatest of all time, man, and I won't stop until the whole world's up in my hand. I can't see my rise up on the horizon. I've been out here grinding, trying to leave a legacy, and ain't nobody next to me, cause I'm a different pedigree. One impressing me, so step to me, cause I got all my weaponry. I'm a living legend. You ain't heard yet, you not get the message. From the moment that I'm stepping in, I get a couple weapons, yeah, I turn to a beast when I'm rapping. I'm a living legend. You ain't heard yet, you not get the message. From the moment that I'm stepping in, I get a couple weapons, yeah, I turn to a beast when I'm rapping.
Some fantastic plays overall as we saw coming through, and this one in particular I think is our play of the week. Oh, we're not back yet. When are we back? Are we back now?
Yep. All right. So
fantastic play. All right, so of course, looking at these fantastic plays in the previous week coming through, I believe this was submitted by obviously Mansfield Minotaurs, one of our leaders. In fact, when we look at probably who's most likely to take out that title towards the end, there, fantastic double kill down in the bot lane for Set. Another fantastic play here by the Wizards of Wavell, which is our pick for the best highlight of the week. This fantastic team fight by all 5 members. It's hard to pin down exactly who was the MVP of this fight, but excellent team fight abilities coming together. A fantastic 4-man cataclysm, as well as massive damage coming out of the Aphelios LeBlanc, and of course a beautiful Nami wave all set up together, combined to what we call Legion's play of the week. Of course, the school Wizards of Wavell will be able to be rewarded with a Legion Mechanical Gaming keyboard. So congratulations to everyone there at Wavell Wizards for locking in at that prize as we going to congratulate him a fantastic Savage Player of the Week.
I actually really liked that team fight like entirely. That was like really smoothly executed.
And we had some good submissions throughout the week too. So make sure if you guys are watching at home or you're watching us on a vlog or just even paying attention to the Discord, if you get your highlights submitted in from this playoff round, you yourself could be coming home with one of those mechanical keyboards provided by Legion by Lenovo. So make sure you're keeping your match history, going through and looking for any big plays you make or your teammates make yourself and submit it through the Discord, of course, for all the players and for all the fans at home. If you guys see anything as well, make sure to clip it so we can look at those on our Twitch the second we at the end of the week, and we'll be able to pick a winner from all those highlights.
And honestly, I remember going through a couple of runs maybe about a week ago, and I was really struggling. I remember talking to you about it, Mitch, and we were like, what plays like the best? And it was actually really tough. There were so many that I liked, and I'm really happy with the ones that we settled on.
Yeah, precisely. I think the Wavell Wizards in all that play was very deserving and was by far the best play of the week. And probably about 10 minutes out from starting our first round of playoffs, Josh and I have kind of gone back to our roots a little bit and have got finally a bit of a pre-game segment for you guys. We've gone through and listed what our maybe favorite champions are or most played champions in the past or throughout our League of Legends experiences. So, Josh, do you want to take us through your list first?
All right, I'll do that. My list is a bit of an interesting one, guys. I play a lot of a certain champion, and I'm sure that if any of you guys have known me, or I play a lot of Aurelion Sol. Maybe a bit too much. So let's just briefly go over what are some potentially interesting tier lists. My list is more about the champions that I find fun or that I enjoy playing in comparison to, who's strong.
Yeah, exactly right.
Don't know if it's quite up on stream, but, eventually it may be. So first of all, my S tier pick, obviously the Aurelion Sol. When you guys see the tier list, there's a couple of funny names on it.
So how many mastery points do you have on ASOL now?
Oh, on a single account, I think the most I have is about 900,000. But I've probably got 300,000 or 400,000 scattered across other accounts.
Yeah, right. So just a lot of one champion.
What about you?
I mean, I also mained ASOL for a little bit, but ever since he got reworked, I got rid of him and stopped playing ASOL because I can't play the new adjusted kit. So
it is so funky. Like that the change on the Celestial expansion is so weird. They changed Aurelion Sol from a consistent DPS mage to a more of a semi-burst mage, but he's not good enough to burst anyone down. Really, he's a burst mage that needs roll but falls off. Like it doesn't make sense. Your whole point is you have to spike between levels 9 to 13, but by the time you get to that, your items aren't scaling, so it's just not very good. But because he's one of those champions with absolutely zero play rate, right? It's just obviously doesn't put time into it and tried to fix it, but I think eventually ASOL is going to get the Aatrox treatment and just get reworked and changed into a different champion. So when that happens, I'll be excited. But until they either revert, my boy, he's going to stay on the bench for me. Talking about reworks, why don't we go over a couple of the ones that we find interesting while we wait for the tier lists to get fully thrown up? So what's your favorite rework then, Mitch?
I think the best rework so far has been the Warwick rework.
Ooh, I like that one too.
In terms of, he hasn't been a better pick. Oh, there we go. As your tier list is now available on screen.
Oh boy. Okay, so it's a little bit interesting, a little bit off put, but it's fine. Obviously, I've got the Aurelion Sol up there as my number one pick, which, if you guys can read that, it is Aurelion Salt, because I'm pretty salty about what happened to my boy. Otherwise, I play a lot of Orianna control mages, Orianna, Vega. I play the Stack Dog. I play the Nasus. Everyone worth a grain of salt should. Scion. I play Proxy Singed. I end Proxy Singed, more like it.
I see a lot of cheese, man.
There is a lot of cheese. If you guys want to take a quick look at the bottom for champions that my friends don't let me play.
I think the only champion I've banned you from playing is I don't even know. What have you
my Disco Nunu.
Your Nunu's pretty troll. But
What
Did you play
was that
game
one?
Did you play a game of Syndra one time and just got demolished in like bronze?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We were playing in like Iron. You played pick Syndra, went like 0-10.
I don't want to think about that, to be honest, buddy. That was a traumatizing time.
I don't know. You played Cassio though.
I played a little bit of Cassio. I think she spiked back up for a couple of patches, and I picked her up, but never quite got back into her.
What was the first champ you played when you started playing League?
Oh, the first champion I think would have been Draven or Skarner.
Okay. Because I noticed Draven wasn't on your list, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen you ever play Draven.
It was mostly from before I was level 30 that I played Draven.
Yeah, right.
So
Okay.
he
Well,
might
I'm
have not been
saying-
first.
Yeah, but yeah, played eventually. I mean, as you can see, this is my list. Rest in peace, Aurelion Sol used to be my one trick, but since then I've pretty much been playing Yas, Malz, and Zoe. A little bit more Yas recently than anything else because I just need to get out of bronze and carry. But I mean, when I look at my my full list is a big list.
Gosh.
Unlike Josh, I play a lot of different champions. I've been picking up a little bit of Diana lately, which I've been enjoying. Decent champion.
So, Diana's actually a bit of an interesting one. Sorry to jump in on you here.
Yeah.
Just thinking about Diana, she recently got a bit of a nerf in the most recent patch, but that's because she actually got a bit too strong. Her changes were like, I think it was maybe like 2 to 3 months ago, she got like a really nice buff.
Yeah, which got
really
rework,
came back in.
or like mini rework, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and she went from, I don't know, B or C tier all the way to like A plus, maybe S tier.
Oh, she's been perma ST. It's been like her and Fizz have just been dominating solo Q tier list for the last like little while.
Yeah.
I don't know who. I think what Mal's is usually up there like for low elo lists. Echo talent. Echo's busted this season. Echo's been my perma ban all season. I don't like playing that. I mean, it's funny when I look at the champions because I used to play AD carry off role. I used to be mid AD carry, and then like mid. I was initially a jungle main. I played like Warwick J4 and a bit of Zin, a bit of Eve too. I used to play a lot of Evelyn, and then stopped playing them once jungle got changed because got sick of playing that role. And then I top with like Aatrox and Shen and Jax. I played a bit of that.
Yeah, I like
Aatrox.
Aatrox.
My off role's just been changing a lot. Like I used to play Triss, Xayah, like Ashe, and then I've like started playing. I mean, ever since I found mid, I was like mid. I've always been a mid main. The first
Is it because you feel like you have the most impact from mid lane?
I think it's just 'cause the champions I liked were mid laners. Like, so my first, like when I first made a League of Legends account, which is still an account to this day, I don't know where it is. I played Master Yi until I was level 22, and I played Teleport Ghost Master Yi top. And I didn't know how to buy items. So I used to run around with no items all game. That was the very first champ I played, and then I played Katarina, and then I played Aurelion Sol. So
okay.
I mean, those are kind of, then I guess ever since I started playing mid, I just started experimenting. Played a lot of Kassadin early on too, because I thought he was cool, like through the lore and stuff. Because I started watching Pro before I started playing.
That'd be an interesting experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same with any esport. Like any esport I'm trying to get into, I always find it more interesting to watch the pro stuff and then transition into playing the game. Like Rocket League, I'm watching a lot of Rocket League broadcasts, stuff like that, and watching BGC, Pokemon BGC, because those are 2 games I want to get into for casting next. But enough about Josh and I. The playoffs will be kicking off in about 20 seconds. We should be jumping into game very shortly into champion selected stuff to see which of these 2 teams will be advancing onto the next round and potentially be playing for a chance to be crowned the best high school in all of Queensland when it comes to League of Legends.
Well, I wonder who will take victory here. I don't know if it'll be Mountain Creek or the other side, to be honest with you. I feel like it's going to be a really interesting game nonetheless, and I really hope as we enter Champ Select, we get to see... I want to see these teams really like battled out before we even hit the Rift. Get like a really solid draft. Whoever can like take an inch, if they give them an inch and they'll just take a mile, right?
Yeah, precisely. And, introducing one of our schools, Mountain Creek, playing on the blue side today. Up in the top lane, we've got CuteZergling. In the jungle, TenTen. In the mid lane, Hurtle. In the bot lane, Lil Liam. And support Raiden rounding out that roster. Of course, Mountain Creek, personally, my favorites on paper coming in. I've got 2 platinum level players. and I think 3 silvers. So those two higher ranked players to be looking at. I think it's TenTen and Raiden are the higher ranked players. So jungle support, probably not the 2 most influential roles when you think about who's going to carry a game, but jungle and support are going to control your vision, control your shot calling. So I'd expect good macro to come out of Mountain Creek. But as for their opponents on the red side, Moreton Bay Boys College up in the top lane, I believe they have DowntownDetroit in the jungle, Yoshinada 1011 in the mid lane, Kawasaki Nuki in the AD carry, Decayed, and in support, KranklerGG. Interesting names overall. I don't mind them. I think when it comes to names, I think Moreton Bay Boys College has got a bit more spiciness in their names. I'd like to think that their names are a bit more creative. But an interesting matchup between MBBC, is the fact that, even though on paper they have they only have DowntownDetroit, I think, who's their only gold player, and everyone else is quite low elo. I'm pretty sure everyone else is around
iron, bronze, silver.
Yeah, iron, bronze, pretty much. They haven't even been placed in ranked, and yet they look at their record and they've beat some decent-ish teams, right? They've beaten the second McGregor squad. I believe Maroochydore stayed high. It was a very good side last year and equally good this year. And so interesting to see that rank's probably not all that meets the eye when it comes to Moreton Bay Boys College, but obviously exactly how they fare in this playoff match, we should be jumping into very, very shortly here and see exactly which team's going to come out on top.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see what how Champs plays out between the two, as I think we're just about to get into it. So here we are. We're probably going to get through this first round of bans pretty quickly. I actually am really excited for the side of Mountain Creek right here, because I was looking at these players individually a bit before, and Lil Liam really stood out to me. Playing a lot of different AD carries, really good at Twitch. So I'd be shocked if they let Twitch through, especially because it could even be flexed in the jungle to TenTen.
Yeah, maybe you can see a Twitch jungle coming out. I mean, it looks like so far they're going to just ban the Vayne and Yasuo away from the blue side. 2 champions quite similar to the Twitch, wait for late game, looking to scale, but the Twitch not banned away, Echo taken off the board instead. Looking like they're targeting their bans towards Hurtle in that mid lane, so trying to get a good matchup for Kawasaki. And on the other side, Zaya, Zed, and Blitzcrank, all very not meta bans you see getting taken out, and Darius locked in for CuteZergling.
Yeah, I'm actually really like to see a Darius get picked up. It is a bit of a dangerous pick. Not in the sense that Darius can get countered super easily, but it's very straightforward what you're looking to do when you pick a Darius. And as I feel like I want to make this joke, but I'm going to make someone cringe, and I'm hoping it's not going to be you. Sorry, I just got a little bit mind blown by locking in Nasus into Darius.
I mean, it's an interesting matchup overall, and Kane as well being locked in for the jungle for Yoshinada, a champion that hasn't been... got buffed recently, so Assassin Kane mid was a thing for half a patch, I think, before everyone realized that Kane's just opposite tier champion.
Kane also got a slight nerf in this patch, 10-10. I think his Rast healing got reduced by 10%.
Or something like that, something insignificant. The one, I would like to go back to that Darius, though, because the last time we saw a Darius locked in this round of playoffs, it went 25, 6, and 11, I think.
Oh my goodness.
But then that same Darius was locked in the next game, and it went 2, 8, and 4. So,
damn.
What we can conclude from that, Darius is going to decide the game.
Yeah, we will see.
It may be hard carrying or hard feeding. We don't know.
So I really like how Mountain Creek is drafting their team comp right now. They took the Darius, they took the Graves, and they've made sure that they've now taken an AP mid laner. So, they're putting a fair chunk. They've got a lot of AD. I wonder if we'll see a more AP heavy support like Lux, Nami, well, not too much Nami, but Lux or someone like that. We'll have to see. Well, on the side for, Moreton Bay Boys College, they're obviously building, a bit of assassin, bit of AP one, like control major for Orianna. Nasus is obviously going to be able to stack really heavily. But, as we enter that second round of bans, we finally see that Twitch ban targeting Lil Liam. I wonder what he'll pull out, obviously not being able to get his main in AD carry anymore.
Yeah, not able to pick up that Twitch, which... An interesting drafts coming out from both these sides, because the champions aren't really coherent, right? Darius doesn't really have a place in competitive because it's just he's a bit of a lane bully, and then outside of that he doesn't do much. I guess he kind of fits more into a team fight kind of comp. Graves is looking for that team fight too, and so is Vladimir, but a little bit later into the game. I like the Orianna pick here from Kawasaki Nuki. Orianna is a very strong pick into the Vladimir if you can pilot it correctly. The secret to laning against Vlad or beating Vlad in lane is being able to do more damage to him than he can heal back with his Q. So constant poke from that Orianna ball, and of course the stacking autos that Orianna has, that clockwork passive, I believe, will do a significant amount of damage to Vladimir. And if she's able to position correctly and poke him out, he's going to be struggling. And Graves isn't a champion that's going to necessarily be able to help. But Kane on the other side isn't a position particularly high tempo jungler either. So I don't think we're going to see much coming out of either of these sides. And we see Ezreal and Senna locked in as the last two picks for the blue side. So a very squishy bot lane in particular coming out of them. But given the fact that there's no real engage on either side, it's looking like team fights in this game might be a little bit hard to come by.
Yeah, it does. It just doesn't seem like there's no like a heavy engage from anyone, as you mentioned. Honestly, the most I could see from Moreton Bay is potentially like Kane, like Shadow Walk, like Umbral trespassing through, like, you know, getting onto the enemy team with an Ori ball on him and a Shockwave. That's about the best I could maybe see come out of them. On the side of Mountain Creek, I don't really see anything at all.
Darius Flash.
Darius like Flash Apprehend, or maybe the Senna. I think it's the W.
Yeah, like there's not much for either of these teams to actually start off a team fight. So, I mean, the Orianna, you're instantly losing value if you're not picking Orianna with some form of engage, something to get her ball into the middle of the team fight to land a multi-man Shockwave. I mean, it's still the end of the world, but when you're playing like Nasus, Kane, I mean, Nasus is just a weird pick. It just doesn't make sense. It's just a champion that doesn't do a lot. And when it's sitting there up at the top side, it's very difficult for anyone to actually move around and help this Nasus get ahead in this game. Kane itself as well is another champion that, doesn't really provide much in terms of a competitive 5v5 outlet. It has some places in terms of maybe here against the Graves. It's not bad because he can actually out-farm the Graves, out-power farm him, and get a lead that way. But again, you need to have Rast to actually influence the map, and even then, he's just not going to have that same team fight impact if you've got no form of engage. You got a long-range poke from Jhin. Obviously, try to set that up at the back of the team fight and do a lot of damage down, but there's just no engage. There's no diver. There's no initiator for the red side. And so I find it's going to be very difficult for them to really start anything if they start getting ahead. And even if they're behind, I think catching opportunities can be quite difficult, given the fact that they're relying heavily on this Nasus to split push and win in the game.
Neither team has like a coherent comp, or they haven't really gone for a solid like win condition on any side. They're obviously the only really thing that you already point out for red side was Nasus, who obviously will look to split push. He'll look to stack up, get as big as he can, and potentially even get a 1v1 with Darius and break the base that way. Yeah, but that's going to be really tough when I'm pretty sure that CuteZergling is going to ask for TenTen's help to try to crush this Nasus early and make sure that he stays in the dirt, because obviously you don't want to get a high stack Nasus in those games. Like a Nasus, what should a good Nasus get? 450 stacks at 20 minutes, and that should be pretty much just clapping your whole team.
Well, I don't know anything about Nasus, to be honest, so I couldn't tell you.
I play a bit of him now. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, but it's just one of those. I mean, I definitely like the blue side's comp a lot more, and I think Mountain Creek are going to take this game. I don't think it's going to be a quick one, though. I think this game's going to be like a 30-40 minute slogfest, I think, because neither of these teams have a real way to start a fight. So they're going to be, struggling to kind of get kills. And the only way I can really see this game ending quickly is if Darius and Graves just double team this Nasus up in the top lane and get massively ahead in the early game, and then snowball that lead into a very fed Darius that's going to 1v9 and run down the side lanes.
Yeah, that would make the most sense, to be honest. And I completely agree with you there. I would actually be interested to see if Kane goes Rast. I think he might. I think Shadow Assassin could be quite interesting. Getting onto Lil Liam's Ezreal, taking him out, getting onto Raiden's Senna, and just taking out the squishy targets while his Nasus tanks up. Bazillion. He's got the I can't remember Bazillion's ult name.
Chrono Shift. Not a Chrono Shift. Chrono Break. No,
That's Echo. Is Chrono Shift?
One
Yeah,
of
it's
them,
Chrono
one of them's
Shift.
Chrono Shift, the other one's Chrono Break.
Yeah, Echo breaks time. Zillion. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's got the Chrono Shifter to be able to like revive for Jhin in a team fight. So there's always the second chance available to either one. So it is sort of like a 6v5 in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, but it's just one of those things where, honestly, I just see the blue side probably outscales, right? Later game. Vlad, Senna, Ez probably, and then Graves in particular, are definitely better late game champions. But when you look at the other side, right, you got Nasus that scales, but I think Nasus is cut down pretty easily by anti-healing. Darius is going to have heaps of that. You're assuming that these, out of the 380 carries and the 180 bruiser, that they'll get some anti-healing for the Nasus if he becomes a problem, given the fact it's going to give you value against Kayn and value against Zillion ulti. So Grievous Wounds is a must this game if you're the blue side. And if you're the red side too, Grievous Wounds is a must versus Vladimir. So should be a lot of anti-healing in this game. But late game, like having 380 carries plus Vlad is going to be doing so much damage. The only way you could have that as a weakness is the fact that your 80 carries, obviously, once you get on top of them, they're very weak. They're very low health pools, and they'll get deleted instantly. However, given the fact they have no engage other than maybe a Kayn flank onto the backline, these 380 carries in the Graves, Ezreal and Senna. I mean, Graves is a little bit tankier too, and he has a bit more kiting ability, but Ezreal as well has his dash away, and Senna, of course, has her pull. So very slippery backline to begin with. But if you are able to get on top of them, there's no way to lock them down and do damage to them and take them out. So I think Mountain Creek are just going to have too much range, too much poke, too much damage, and Moreton Bay have no way of punishing them for going only damage carries and no tanks, right? No DC.
Yeah, so it looks like we're pretty much in game here. We see everyone like sort of sitting about, a little bit of a. It's not even, I wouldn't even call that like a standard fan out of anyone here. That's just kind of almost jarring to look at.
I don't know. I think it's going to be like a little 3-minute embed up on this top side at the moment, and we see Ezreal and Senna sitting around the red buff, but we'll see exactly what comes out of it. I mean, probably I'd have to say you want a path towards this top side, right, for both junglers. So they'd be both looking to start bot side. Look at Graves is going to look to take away this red buff, though, and maybe even transition that into a level 2 gank top lane. Because if you can get CuteZergling ahead of Downtown Detroit, it's just going to snowball ridiculously quickly. Nasus isn't even able to walk up to the wave to even contest with a Q. And if you get to that point, Darius is going to run away with this game. And I think they have to play to get Darius ahead. And Moreton Bay have to play to keep Nasus not falling too far behind it. Because if Nasus can stack up quickly and get ahead the late game, then that's kind of their main win condition, their main way to win the game. So I think this game is heavily reliant on this top lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been saying it again and again that the key factor for this red side is obviously Downtown Detroit's Nasus, who needs that time to scale up. He needs to get those stacks. And obviously CuteZergling playing for Darius is a lane bully. He's gonna try to keep him down as much as possible. But enough about top lane. What I'm really interested in is this bot lane. So
yeah, it's an interesting lane matchup because I mean both of them got a reasonable amount of poke and then long range abilities, right? Of course, Ezreal has Q, Senna has her abilities. Jhin as well has a lot of long range through the abilities of his Q to bounce it between these grenades. The W as well to get a cheeky snare. And of course, Zillion, if you can land those double bombs with the slow, that's instant CC lockdown to chain it through. And of course, Jhin has a lot of burst damage too. That 4-shot, if it hits you, is going to chunk a significant portion of your health, as well as a 4th bounce grenade after killing 3 minions. So it's one of those lanes where it's a lot of poke, a lot of both these lanes have abilities to take each other out, but I just don't think they will ever get to a chance where they will be taking each other out, because they just both have so much poke and so much mobility at the same time that it's going to be very difficult for either of them to find an opportunity onto the other.
Yeah, and even like with some jungle help, there's no like solid crowd control out of either side here. Graves could kind of come in and all he would do is just add some damage to the mix. Maybe the smoke screen would really help out. But like even like Kayn, like he's not going to be able to like slow them down. But maybe this could be looking bad. Like Jhin gets a little bit poked out. Maybe they could like go for something. But I agree with you. I feel like this lane is just gonna sit there and it's just gonna like stalemate in a sense.
I mean, if we do glide our eyes towards the top side, though, you can see it's a 21-0 CS lead for Darius,
Yeah.
which is obviously a foreshadowing of what's going to come as he shoves a massive wave into tower. Nasus finally gets his first CS there at 3 minutes and 36 seconds, which is not what you want to see when you've got this late game carry as your real only way to win this game.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm a little shocked that we didn't see TenTen like roam up towards that top lane, try to like help like push off Nasus away from the wave, punish him a little bit for trying to farm under tower. But I mean, still good. He's still farming up pretty well right now. It looks like Hurtle might be getting into a little bit of trouble. Yeah, it looks like he may end up having to flash away. No, it looks like he's still good. Okay.
I mean, in this early game, it's just one of those games where the champions that everyone's picked are just so hard to like really move around. That like it's kind of one of those games where, as an analyst, there's not much you can say because they're just very off-meta champs, and they're not champs that have any tools to really do anything. Like someone picks something like an Amumu, yeah, sure, it's off-meta, but it's still very clear and defined as to how it's going to win the game. And it just seems like one of those games where it's just about whoever gets fed first, whoever makes a mistake, just kind of loses, right? Because both these sides, I mean, the red side just has no proactivity. It's just a very passive, if Jin happens to get a couple of kills, he'll get really strong and he'll just one-shot everyone. But, like, again, it's not reliable. It's not going to win you the game. And so you did say, you know, one of the key essential parts of this game was to, you know, make sure that people lock down with a good draft, right? That's how you set yourself up for success in the game. If you get a very strong draft, very easy to execute, especially for the first game of playoffs is where you want to be. You know, making sure you get that first win of the best of 3 series. If you win that in game 2, you can start experimenting, start trying out some different styles. But, you know, you don't want to start off with comfort or not that you don't want to start with comfort, but you just don't want to start out with something that has zero ability to do anything.
Yeah. And just going forward in this game, I'm moderately disappointed in both drafts. There's just no coherent like structure to them. As we pointed out time and time again now, I think that the junglers for both sides are the odd picks.
Yeah, I mean, Graves is very meta. Graves is fun. I think for the blue side, their draft's a little bit more like their champions are a little bit like you can see them using. I would have liked to see something like a Nautilus maybe down in the bot lane. Or just some form of engage. Even like Ezreal Yuumi, at least you've got some form of ability to make stuff happen. A Leona maybe even too. That would have been fine. That would have been enough. That's all I would have needed to see. But the fact that there's just 280 carries, you kind of go like, you don't need the center. Like you don't need the extra damage. You've got Vlad, Ezreal, Graves. You got 3 carries there, and plus Darius, which is a pseudo carry / bruiser. And then you don't need the damage from the center. You need something to tank and engage.
Yeah, so I'm just really wondering about which side is going to opt for the first dragon. It is Mountain Dragon, which will help with tankiness a little bit, but neither side really has like a solid tank, so I don't think it'll be that valuable or that contested over.
No, I don't think it will be, but I mean, and the other thing is, you know, these teams aren't necessarily early game dragon teams. No one has that power. Besides Darius, maybe he's the only one that can look for an early objective. Graves himself needs to scale a little bit. I mean, Kane can probably solo the dragon, but it's just so difficult for either of these sides to take these neutral objectives. I mean, I think Ezreal is going to be one of the key carries in this game. He does a lot of damage to neutral objectives with his W auto passive plus the Qs. So, you know, if you are looking to get early dragons, I think it's going to most likely be this blue side. Since Jin has such slow neutral objective control and already has little damage to provide too. So we see,
this could be pretty bad down bot lane, actually. I wonder
if
it's
that poke coming through Ez, just jumping forward, coupled with the glacial from Senna. I mean, she's got Dark Harvest. Why has Senna got Dark Harvest?
That is quite strange, actually.
I suppose just getting the stacks off low carries because you got long range, but I think the glacial would have made the Ezreal abilities even easier to hit and help your carry a little bit more. So it's a very solo queue kind of game, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's very solo queue.
Finally, the 8-minute marks where things might start evolving out, especially top lane right now. Looks like Darius really wants to punish this Nasus.
Yeah, I mean, one more auto there, and he could have gone for the dunk to take him out. And Ezreal, is that a flash? Not a flash, just E over the wall, and first blood going over to Ez.
Yeah, Ezreal getting a nice kill. Maybe we'll get to see a second one come out onto Kane in a moment here. There's a nice true shot barrage into what's the Graves ult called? It's the collateral damage.
That's the one taking out the Kane, finding him there, picking him off in the jungle, and it looks like the Mountain Dragon will be going over to the blue side.
Yeah, they start to position around it. Finally starting to see some action come up on the map. 2 kills over to Mountain Creek, so they are certainly taking a bit of an advantage, and looks like they're going to be securing via Mountain Dragon. So I find that a little bit funny. So, replays. Tell me, oh my god, come on, Shockwave to finish off Hurtle? That was just a bit funky there, wasn't it? Maybe we've lost replays for a moment, but you know what?
Oh, never mind. I have my mic muted. Lol. Don't even know how I got muted. But
mental boom, Kana.
Mental boom. What was I saying? I don't know when I muted, but I was gonna say Mountain Drake can go to Mountain Creek. Very reliable. Maybe Ocean Drake pops up next to fulfill the second part of that high school's name. But a very nice pickup for kills overall in the mid lane. It was an interesting play by the Vladimir there. Kind of just got poked low and then just walked to ult and just died. So interesting to see. Yeah, like it's just one of those kills that gets picked up, and that's a big advantage over to this Orianna, who obviously does counter the Vladimir in the lane, but such an easy kill like that, just give it over, especially after the wave was pushed in, is a big mistake from Hurtle.
Yeah, I think we actually be able to see a gank down bot lane. Here comes TenTen. They're trying to take down NekaL first. He jumps in. He doesn't have a collateral damage up for another couple of seconds, so it looks like Jin will be able to get away for now.
Yeah, just going to move away with that Dillian speed up. Of course, Jin also has a lot of speed on his 4-shot speed. Orianna's roam down here if you maybe look for something. But no shockwave, right? Yeah, no shockwave.
No, she doesn't, not yet. But it looks like Vladimir's going to make his way down to maybe there's a bit of a collapse coming onto either side here.
It's just a big old 4-man in the bot lane at 10-minute mark. The red spike goes down, so Orianna gets to try and run away.
Oh my, yeah. Interesting.
Well, it looks like nothing's going to come of that. Yeah, nothing's going to come of that, but a huge amount of minions lost here for Orianna. Taking that roam, not getting anything off it, and Vladimir able to shove a full wave in means he'll be... I mean, they're still even in farm in that mid lane, but XP-wise, Vladimir could be edging out the Orianna just a little bit. We'll see Orio's actually going to get to collect that wave, and the pen boot straight away from Orianna too is something that's very handy to grab when you're up against this Vladimir. Before you can really get any of that healing in, obviously going for that early cooldown reduction that he needs for his abilities, just be able to poke him out with that extra penetration with those autos is going to be huge.
Yeah, certainly. And now we're finally starting to see some real items being built out of both sides here. No one's really got their first major item, but we're starting to see those components. We see Vasheen out of Nasus. We see what looks like it's going to be turned into a Triforce out of, well, both Nasus and Darius. That could be a little... what I find really interesting here is that Ezreal has opted for the Tear of the Goddess build. He's got a bit of a lead, but it makes him so much weaker for the moment that I feel like going like an aggressive Ez build, especially if you're trying to steamroll your opponent, would have been a much smarter idea.
I thought Muramana was the go-to. You go Muramana into a Sheen Sheen upgrade, and then you go Bork, right?
I suppose
and then Nugget or something.
But you know what's happening right now? It looks like Darius is about to dunk all over this Nasus, and Dog has been put in his place.
I mean, Nasus is only 41 CS. I think the lowest other than the supports in the game by quite a way, and that's just the domination that Darius has in this matchup. Nothing really Nasus can do, and that's the problem of actually self-counter picking. In fact, going for that Nasus. Obviously, DowntownDetroit thought he had the good enough skill to pull off that pick and play throughout the lane and get fed. And obviously, late game is where it's really going to matter, where he's going to have to make sure his team can stall it out as long as he possibly can. And there is no... that's just the one thing about both these comps is they can both stall for a long time because there's no engage, right? So, if the red side, need to wait for this Nasus to farm up, there's a good chance he's going to give him the opportunity to get to the late game, given the fact that there's just nowhere to pull the trigger. Other than the Darius ghosting in, I think that's one thing we haven't touched on yet. The ghost over the TP means that, sure, he won't have as much lane priority, but when you're dumpstering a Nasus this hard, you have preferential back timing anyways. But even when you don't get that preferential back timing, the ghost means that he'll have more opportunity to engage. His side lane won't be as strong, but Vladimir and Darius both function quite well in those side lanes anyways. So, you can definitely go through a 1-3-1 option too. But not only that, if you want to transition from a 1-3-1 style into a teamfight style, the ghost means he'll have a lot more ability to get in and get an apprehend or start off a teamfight and give him some guaranteed engage.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I like the Ghost pick obviously because it means actually he has less lane priority, less ability to influence the map, but he's just building such a huge lead up top lane and making sure the Nasus has no impact. Even if Nasus was to teleport down, he'd be naught but a free kill.
Yeah, precisely. At this point, he's so far behind that he's just got nothing going for him. Still trying to go for that Triforce too. Interesting, he hasn't bought any armor early on in this game. Generally, if you're behind in lane, tip for solo crew guys, counter build immediately. I know myself, I'm playing an AP champion into something like Yasuo Z. I'll probably insta rush the arm guards with the Tabai depending on if I need 10 boots that game or something like that, right? You're gonna instantly start counter building and start counteracting what damage your opponent's doing to nullify it. It means you can CS more in lane, stay alive longer.
Quick kill coming out. No, the chrono shift. Maybe Lil Liam can get 2 here if he can take down NekaL, but unfortunately, it does not look like he's able to. However, here comes Orianna and Kane. They're preparing to jump in. There's a ball placed coming over. Kane jumps across. Does he have the Untitled Trespass? Lil Liam's stuck between a rock and a hard place, but he does manage to get 1 kill out of it. Maybe he'll get 2. Double kill. He's got that Triumph coming up. However, it looks like the Kane ultimate will finish him off as he's forced to go down. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm frozen. But that was some real nice kills going over to Ezreal there.
Yeah, well played by Ezreal, and big misplay for the 4-on-2 to go down with 2 members. Jin, with that low health, should have just backed off for 1. And Orianna, when she got low, should have either landed those abilities or moved back. And the cost of that roam there, of course, picking up the 2 kills, but overall, red side, huge profit, getting that mid lane tower, dropping Rift Tower down. Now it looks like they're going to move in and contest this Cloud Dragon.
Honestly, I love it when teams make those Herald plays, and oh my gosh, Hurtle, he's starting to really scale up now. He's reached level 10. He's about to hit level 11. Get that level 2 ultimate. He's got those items.
It's just like Gunblade. The Gunblade damage is ridiculous. I mean, I know I've been playing a lot of Proto Belt champions, and when you just get that first part of that Proto Belt, the extra damage per I think it's your first ability does an extra 200 damage every 30 seconds or something like that, which is quite a sizable chunk of damage for just a 1,000 gold item. So that difference there providing obviously the difference in just leading Zilean straight off the map.
Yeah, you know what, I was starting to see glimpses of hope for this Nasus, but looking at what CuteZergling is doing, I feel like he's about to get a dive in. How low he is, there's just no way. Yeah, Nasus is just forced to back off, or else he loses tower and his life.
I mean, I think he loses tower regardless, but yeah, this Nasus pick out of DowntownDetroit has just not turned out very well. The Darius dominating that first tower, going down now up on the top side, and man, it is looking like a very difficult game for Moreton Bay to come back from.
Yeah, they are falling behind quite quickly. 5,000, 6,000 gold differential, and there's only a couple of kills between the two. True Shot Barrage! Oh, it does hit NekaL, but it does not finish him off. Ooh, that was really
unfortunately close. Unfortunately, not getting there just yet, but surviving another round are the bot lane, but not for long. Moreton Bay themselves are going down very, very low, and it's going to be very difficult for them to... It's just, you see, this game is just one of those where draft has just kind of decided the game. The fact that one team's got to draft with a little bit of agency...
NekaL getting autoed out. One more ship from Lil Liam will do it, and he will fall quickly. Will they keep going for gridding onto this Zilean? No?
No, they're not going to go for that second kill. Zilean walks away, but just this bot lane's so fed. The double poke coming out of Zilean, Senna plus the Ezreal is just too much to handle for the enemy team, and you can see Zilean just unable to sustain that poke. Looks like he's going for Ludens too, which is a funny rush for one of our support champions, but at the end of the day, that's what they're going to go with. And it's just, there's just no ability to heal, no ability to, poke back versus Senna. I hate how oppressive Senna support is in lane. I played a game versus Senna Aphelios a little while ago, and it's just complete range domination is too hard to deal with.
Yeah, there's just not much you can do against that kind of combo, and honestly, it'll just really set you down, set you behind as a group. But talking about what being set behind, it looks like Vladimir may be put in his place, and just remember gets put back for a command shockwave, and he's sitting solo, forced to flash over the wall. I think he may get away here, but there's the Graves coming in from behind. There is the Untitled Trespass. Will the collateral damage be enough to finish him off? He moves onto the Orianna, jumping forward. There's an apprehend from Darius, misses. Flash in with the Noxian Guillotine. And that's a couple more kills going over to Mountain Creek.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this game is starting to snowball out of control now. 9 kills to 2, this Darius. Only 2-0, but just so much oppressive damage so far ahead. Triforce completed already, almost finished that Spirit Visage too, which means his healing is going to be that much better. And Moreton Bay just too far behind, and champions that are unable to keep themselves in the game. And it's looking like his game is only going to last another 10 minutes or so. Mountain Creek just destroying Moreton Bay.
Yeah, this is brutal replays. Like we mentioned it earlier, just how obviously this is going to be a very long game still. Like only a couple of turrets are down, handful of kills on either side. But honestly, just thinking about it as moving forward, going into like late game from this position, Mountain Creek have a huge advantage where they've got the fed Graves, they've got the fed Darius, they've got the fed Ezreal. Honestly, individually, they're all so far ahead, it doesn't matter as a group anymore.
Yeah, like it's just one of those games where this is a very solo queue game. It's 100% solo queue. The only difference between this and solo queue is there isn't someone who is like 0 or 10-0 or like destroying them, right? That's one thing that they don't have. They don't have that one, fed carry you have on solo queue. But it's kind of just one of those games where everyone's just kind of won their lane. Everyone's doing all right, and it's kind of just waiting for the game to end. I had a game like this today where I was just like I was ahead, all my lanes were ahead, and it was just like, well, I guess we just kind of have to wait to get strong enough to do the Baron to end the game, and eventually it just ended, right? But it's just when you have no engage or no real access into a fight, and you start getting ahead in lane because your lane is making mistakes and you're getting free kills. This mid game period is so difficult to transition through because, especially for players that aren't as experienced with League of Legends, you don't know how to close out a game efficiently and quickly. And when you don't have a lot of speed to do objectives, it's very hard to do. See both these sides fighting over the first Ocean Drake, and if obviously Mountain Creek pick up this Ocean Drake, it's going to have them in prime spot to grab the Soul, and Ocean Soul, as we know, is the most overpowered buff in the game. It's pretty much game over.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think this game is probably going to reach for like the Elder Point, so obviously that Mountain Soul, oh, that's nice. The Grave secures for Dragon, 3 sides there. I've got 3 Dragons up, it's Soul Point in about 5 minutes. I would love to see the Soul and the Baron go over to Mountain Creek, where they can really just crush what's left of Moreton Bay's Spirit.
Lovely.
That was just really dark of me, wasn't it?
That was pretty dark. You see Hurtle just deleting that AD carry's health bar, and when you got just squishies on the enemy team and you start getting a little bit fed as one of these big AP carries, it's so much fun to just press 3 buttons and just see someone's health bar disappear.
Oh no, replays. I think we're about to see someone go down in a couple of seconds. That's someone, I think it may be Nasus. He got to a Fury of the Sands, but the Decimate from Darius will help heal him up for now. He's trying to buy time. Wait for that Nasus ult, and another Decimate comes up. True Barrage flies across the side of the screen. Pull back, one more hit, and unfortunately, Nasus will make a plus 12 out of that Darius.
Was Darius just taking tower there?
Yes, he was trying to take the tower while clearing it. Unfortunately, he took, like 6 or 7 tower shots during that time?
Something like that. That's just one of those situations where someone's a little bit overconfident, someone's been a little bit too dominant in lane and just makes a mistake of...
Yeah, just hands over way too much gold to the enemy for no reason. A bit of a shutdown. I think that was like plus 400?
Yeah, exactly right. It's just going down like that is just so difficult to see. Giving that gold over to the Nasus itself in particular, it was a 750 gold shutdown. Not for 750,000 gold. That'd be a ridiculous amount of gold.
I wish.
Imagine that, Sarah. Imagine even getting to 100,000 gold in a game, let alone just a one character. It'd just be over. See, Nasus picking up some armor finally, so maybe that was the deciding factor in that last fight. See, all these orbs on the center. I wonder where her passive stacks are at, but once she gets stronger and stronger, the crit coming out of that passive is going to be doing a ridiculous amount of damage the later we go into this game.
Yeah, and I see Nasus for Moreton Bay starting to scale up. He's a little stronger now. He can just barely fight the Darius underneath his tower now. But unfortunately, he doesn't have any towers left before his inhibitor, where things are going to get really tough for him to deal with. Especially as both teams try to pose for potentially the Baron in a couple minutes, maybe even the Dragon, once that Soul is up, which is only about 2.5 minutes away.
I mean, you see Darius here pushing down on the bot side. It's creating a lot of pressure. It's going to have to draw Moreton Bay Boys College to come over and answer him in that side lane, which will give the rest of his team opportunity to come and start up this Baron. They don't have a very quick Baron. They don't have a lot of DPS or fast DPS just yet. Ezreal still kind of building towards that point where he can shred through one of these objectives. But once he is able to get to that point, this Dragon should go. So the Baron should go over to Mountain Creek, and if that Baron goes over, Darius is going to be just so devastating in the side lanes.
Yeah, nobody will be able to stand against him. He could probably 1v2 any combination of the people on Moreton Bay if he does get the Baron buffed and keep pushing down. Look at the sheer CS difference in the top lane. It's pretty much 100 CS. That's what's that roughly in terms of gold? That's I don't know, 1800 gold, farmer.
I'm pretty sure 15 golds a kill. So 15 golds, 15 minions, is roughly. As Jin barely survives there with the Orianna shield.
Even the True Shot Barrage was fired out. Unfortunately, flash, shield, heal, did manage to keep him up. So I really like the combination that they have the Senna and the Ezreal threw their ult at the same time to try to finish him off. Unfortunately, their timings were just that little bit apart.
Yeah, precisely. Unable to grab that kill overall, as we see. Now this Nasus just trying to fight against Vladimir and got that armor, but Vladimir does not do attack damage at all. All ability power will be shredding through Nasus's health bar.
Yeah. So I want to briefly talk about that we're starting to see potential grievous wounds out of Moreton Bay here, which will help. We see the Orianna starting to build towards the Morellonomicon. I'm a little shocked to see that nobody else has any grievous wounds or is planning on building it.
Yeah, given the fact you've got this extremely fed Darius, there's a Vladimir on one side, and there's a Nasus on the other side, you'd think anti-healing would have to be a must, but neither of these sides opting for it just yet. It's still early in the game. You'd only grab anti-healing as your second or third item, or you just pick up the component of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, for AD champions, it's much easier. It's only 800 gold to invest, which is nothing at all in the grand scheme of things. That you can upgrade into a pen later. What's it called?
Yeah.
Mortal Reminder, I think.
Mortal Reminder.
Yeah. As you see, just the siege from both. I mean, the blue side right now is just pretty much waiting till they're strong enough to take Baron. Maybe waiting to grab this Ocean Drake, which is just spawned now, and they'll move towards it now. And once they grab these objectives, they'll just become so hard to kill. And they're just waiting to siege, getting what chip damage they can down on these towers. We see.
Oh boy,
Darius.
This looks bad for Darius. He's trying to run away. His teammates are pretty close. There's a nice flash apprehend onto two members. Nice decimate here. He's trying to do as much as he can to heal, but it looks like he may get taken down before he has a chance to kill anyone. But he's getting so much healing from his side. Falls down as an Noxian Guillotine comes out. There is Virginia's Curtain Call. He is firing off each shot as fast as he can, but there's not much he can do. But he's standing between a rock and a hard place as Vladimir unleashes his full combo, taking them all down pretty much one by one. And Ezreal up on the top side has split pushing.
That was a 4v5, and they just decimated them. Orianna, no mana, no health, have to go back to her base to heal up. And with that siege now complete, looks like they'll try and take down these last few towers. But no minions means no bot lane tower going over. Ocean Soul is still available.
It is.
Vladimir just does so much damage. Holy moly.
Vladimir, of course. He's all the I think this is actually really important. That scaling champions are actually overpowered right now in the meta. Because they scale so quickly, regardless if they fall a little bit behind. I would say, compared to 2 to 3 seasons ago, when scaling champions took that 20 to 30 minutes to come online, now I'd say it only takes 15 or 20 minutes if they can even get a couple kills or a decent CS lead. They will come online so quickly.
Yeah, exactly right. You see Vlad 20% or 30% CDR with runes. I assume he has sorcery. Yeah, he does have sorcery. So he'll be obviously on that 30-40% CDR as soon as possible. And once Vladimir hits that point, he just is able to just nuke everyone and everything. The death cap as well for that raw AP. He should be going back to complete it now. An Ocean Soul picked up means that yeah, look, Mountain Creek should only be a couple of minutes away from ending this game. Baron, of course, is the crucial bit they need, but with 2 inhibitors down and 1 naked inhibitor left standing for Moreton Bay Boys College, it's time, I think, to look towards Game 2 and think about how can we improve for the next game.
Okay, so why don't we talk about that for a moment? While we wait to see if Mountain Creek will opt to Baron or push, or how do you think that Moreton Bay can learn from this? Where do you think the game went wrong for them? Obviously, I feel like the self-counter pick was a huge issue, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, don't pick Nasus again. And probably don't pick this Kane either, especially because it's got Assassin Kane too. You need some engage. You need I don't think the Orianna Jhin Zillion is necessarily bad. I mean, the only thing I would say that's not great about those three champions is you don't have any consistent DPS. You don't have damage per second. You have burst in Ori and Jhin. Jhin himself, of course, being an AD carry, doesn't have high attack speed, so is unable to pump out 100 damage 10 times. So stuff like neutral objectives take a lot longer to kill. So they have very poor neutral objective contesting. So even if you have Karthus, I mean, I don't know what the champion pools are, but like Karthus jungle or Jack's top or something like that could help counter that. But you just want to make sure you have engage. And if you're going to play this Orianna again, which I think Kawasaki has looked very good on this game, I think he's probably been the standout performer for Moreton Bay. You need to have something to enable that ball. Like a Jarvan in the jungle is probably the perfect example of a champion that you're looking towards. Even the Trundle couldn't be decent, couldn't be terrible either. But you just get a comp with a little bit more engaged and don't pick Nasus when Darius is already locked in. That was a big mistake, as you can see. So far behind, Nasus is getting the frozen heart having to come through.
I just watched Vashuja Barrage just finish off Zillion. Oh god, I saw it across my screen and I'm like, there's no way that's gonna hit. And it just went straight through Zillion's health bar.
Yeah, that was just a good snipe from downtown from the Ezreal, and one inhibitor left standing. I don't even know if they'll need to take it down, but this push with the Baron buff should be the last, as Mountain Creek should take out the first game in this best-of-3 series. Of course, both sides, though, are going to have to... We'll be back around, and not over just yet, and Moreton Bay does have a chance to redeem themselves, because they were a team that has beaten some quite high-caliber teams, and I haven't necessarily seen what, went... I don't know what they can change to go back to some of that winning form, but obviously making it to playoffs, they can't be, what they've displayed in this very first game. It's been a quite poor effort. Everyone just fighting and killing and
yeah,
whatever.
And honestly, not much really coming out of this. They're just trying to get their last resistance up, but unfortunately, just can't amount to anything, as Moreton Bay just take a crushing defeat for their first match here.
Yeah, 30. I mean, it's still 30 minutes, so it had on for a while, but obviously, given the fact they lacked engage on both sides, that was going to be an evident result there. But of course, Mountain Bay Boys College going down to Mountain Creek State High School, an unfortunate loss in that first game. But of course, it's the best of 3. Usually would be over by now, but we have got some more games to come your way, and as a result, we're waiting around. Stick around. We think we should be back in about 5 minutes for our second game. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Queensland High School League of Legends Championship. Our first game of the day. It's a best of three. We're in playoff rounds. The top 24 schools in Queensland all facing off, and Mountain Creek versus Moreton Bay Boys College today. First game taken quite apprehensively by Mountain Creek. A very quick game, in fact. Yeah, I mean, the first game was quite interesting, wouldn't you say, Connor?
Yeah, that was just an absolute. That was like what you would experience like in solo queue. Like you go in, you basically just pick whatever champions you feel like. There's no real semblance. There was no real semblance of a draft, in my opinion. And that is just one of the disappointing things about like games like that, where you just lose draft and you fall behind steadily. The worst part about it, there just didn't seem to be an organized fight. It was all just like the most like fighty thing I saw then was when Darius in bot lane got like a nice flash apprehend onto a couple members of I'm trying to think which team it was. It wasn't Moreton Bay? Yeah. Like that, and they got targeted. I think that was like the best fight either side of them like pulled off.
Yeah, exactly right. There was only one real team fight. I mean, besides the fact that they just ran over each other. We are in champion select, but the one thing I would like to see these guys is draft some champions with engage. The biggest problem we had in the first game was there was no engage. There was no way for players able to do any damage, and no ways for these teams to start fights. So both these sides now having to go back to the drawing board, change up the champions they want to play, and of course you can see the bans coming out of the champions that dominated the last game.
Oh yeah, for Vlad, the Graves, all being targeted by Moreton Bay. Mountain Creek obviously they banned the Darius, which I thought was a little strange, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
they played it.
They don't want to first picked away, right? They don't want to play into Darius. Maybe CuteZergling is one of those players that can play Darius but can't play against it. Vladimir and Graves, of course, two champions that just decimated last game. Very good scaling, good meta in the moment. But I mean, that does mean that the champions they banned out in the first game are up and available. So Hurtle could get what was banned up against him in the first game. I think Yasuo was banned away from him, and Echo.
I think it was Yasuo and Echo. Yeah.
As well as the Veins through too.
Ooh, yes. I would love to see like a bit of a wombo combo. Maybe get something like the Yasuo and the like a Malphite combo, like a Malphite top, or even like a Gragas in the jungle would be really fun to combo them together.
I mean, honestly, if I can just see like Amumu, I want to see stuff like Malphite, not Tryndamere. Don't pick something with engage. These top laners, you're playing these split push champions like Tryndamere, Yi, Nasus, Darius. Like, you need to pick some engage. You need to have something to take a fight when you need to take an advantage. Otherwise, it's just one of those games where it's going to be Lane Kingdom once again. Whoever wins in lane phase eventually wins out. And it's just a very, not so much boring, but just a very solo queue-esque game. And when you're in 5v5 competitive play, the main advantage you have is the ability to communicate with your teammates. And if you're not doing that, it's so difficult to really get anything going.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see that it looks like Hurtle is going to be getting that Yasuo, and the hurdle he'll have to overcome is this Zed from Moreton Bay, and that was about as good as my joke's going to get. I'm sorry, everybody.
I mean, the Zed's actually interesting pick up into the Yasuo, assuming Yasuo goes mid, right? Could also go bot lane, have Malphite locked in too, so Mountain Creek switching up their draft quite drastically from the first game, which I don't think their draft was terrible in the first game. It wasn't great, it wasn't terrible. Bot lane's really what let them down. But on the other side, Moreton Bay's Boys College picking up the Amumu, which I like to see. Zed and Tryndamere, I have a bit of a question mark about Tryndamere in particular. But overall, at least Amumu has some form of engage, and hopefully they can pair that with a decent bot lane pairing to get a good teamfight composition out themselves.
Question for you then, Mitch. Would you like to see like an AP carry down bot lane like Syndra for Decayed then? Maybe if he plays it, because I feel like that's such a heavy AD comp already for Moreton Bay.
If you can play it, but you need a team fighter. You don't have any. You need like a MF or not so much. I mean, this is actually a good lane for like Senna Aphelios, actually.
I would see
Kaiser kind of viable.
I don't need more enemies.
Kaiser maybe could be a Kaiser to follow up dive, maybe like Kaiser Nort or something.
Yeah, it just seems like It looks like Mountain Creek has learned from like the drafting errors, while Moreton Bay not so much. They're just throwing together what they feel like playing, it looks like.
A little bit. I mean, we'll have to see with the bot lane, right? The bot lane and support are really going to round out the comp. It could just be a split push comp with... I mean, I don't know. I mean, just Downtown Detroit's pick, obviously, the Nasus in the first game and now opting for this Tryndamere. Just two picks that are just very... leave a lot to be desired. They're not picks that are particularly strong, and they're not champions that you would see play and really work in a 5v5 environment. I like the comp coming out of Mountain Creek, though. Ezreal, once again, for Lil Liam. Yasuo and Malphite, of course, the famous combination, and Mordekaiser offering that AP damage, as well as the ability to pick out one strong member if anyone on Moreton Bay Boys College gets fed.
There's that Kaiser I was talking about, so I'm impressed that I managed to call that one. I think Kaiser is pretty much the only option. They could go that blue like AP Kaiser build almost, like on hit Kaiser, whatever it is. I'm trying to remember how you do it. It's been so long since
I mean, Rageblade into Nash's into not Rageblade. You go like Rageblade Bork, like just classic on hit. Oh, Yumi locked in too. So I like. Yeah, this is a very nice draft from Mountain Creek. Zach support.
It does look like it's going to be Zach support, and I think that actually works quite well with Kaiser. What I'm interested in right now is the jungle for Mountain Creek. Is that going to be a Malphite jungle?
Oh yeah, 100%. It was always going to be Malph jungle, unless it was like Malph support maybe. But no, I thought it was Malph jungle 100%. Just AP Malph jungle. He's gonna get level 6. He's gonna flash ult, do half the health. Yasuo's gonna ult off that, and then do the rest of the health, and it's gonna be GG. Like Mountain Creek once again have just won in draft.
Yeah, like Mountain Creek absolutely have a superior draft, and they've got decent team synergies. There's obviously the Yumi as well, who can sit on the Ezreal. So even if, say, Zach, Zed, whoever all charge onto Lil Liam, there's going to be the final hour. He's going to get like arcane shift away. There's no taking down these carries. They have got so much peel and protection on their side. It's actually just, I don't understand just how Mountain Creek just, this draft is what you'd expect in 5v5 competitive here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even their first draft was still viable, but you just look at what they've put together, and it's a much more cohesive composition. All these players are much stronger. Like it's I just like Moreton Bay Boys College. Obviously, they have a very good record, and I'm actually kind of struggling to see where they got these wins from, because again, it's one of those comps where I just look at it and I kind of go like, eh. I mean, it's mostly the Tryndamere and the Zed, to be honest. Those two champions, I just kind of go, Tryndamere, I just go, why is it still in the game? Why is it available to be picked? It needs to be put into dumpster tier with like Yorick and Nasus. Just put it in the little lockbox until they get reworked and made like actual champions. Just get rid of them. You know what I mean?
I don't mind Tryndamere per se. It just doesn't fit with the team. I know he picks it first, but it just doesn't fit in right, I believe. So
yeah. Zach support, I don't mind. Zach is that other form of engage, but again, they just haven't got a secondary team fight carry other than this Kaiser, because right now, what's going to happen is, they're going to engage this fight. Kaiser's going to dive in, Maud's just going to ult her, and then if she doesn't have QSS, there's just no team fight.
I do want to point out
carry.
What could be interesting is that TenTen playing Malphite jungle for Mountain Creek, he's got the unstoppable force. He could just charge straight in. However, if the Zed and Tryndamere are quick enough, they could spin or, living shadow themselves away. Get some distance away from the Malphite or avoid it. So TenTen's real main target here should be Decayed on the Kaiser. Like, obviously, as the one who doesn't have, like, the blink or the dash, he'll be really easy to target unless, obviously, he can use the ultimate to move across. My dog's a little bit upset, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get that killer instinct out to get some ability and dive into the backline, it's definitely available, to avoid the unstoppable force. But again, that dash, if flashes down for Decayed, is obviously conditional, right? You need to have everything in check. But if Malphite lands, a multi-man unstoppable force comboed with a last breath from the Yasuo, that's a team fight, easy one for Mountain Creek.
Yeah. So just looking at general team comps, I don't like how Moreton Bay didn't draft that much magic damage or ability power damage. They've got a little bit on Yoshinada, on that Amumu, but I would hope he's building more tank than he is AP.
Yeah, exactly right. You'd hope it's not a grenade. I mean, it could be grenade Amumu, though, to be fair. They do have only attack damage carries, so that little bit of damage versatility in the profile means that they could get that grenade Amumu. You got Zach to be the tank in the first place, so it could be two AP junglers that are pretty squishy and just going to blow up the enemy team. I mean, especially if Amumu lands a really nice Curse of the Sad Mummy, that's a ridiculous amount of damage that can instantly come out from that ultimate.
Yeah, and it's going to be really important to see which side here actually secures those team fight, the impactful abilities first. Like if we see the Unstoppable Force land on Decay, on Kaiser, Zed, and there's the last breath after that, that team fight is instantly going to be over towards Mountain Creek. But if Yoshinator on Amumu can get in there, lock down Hurtle and Lil Liam, take them down, obviously Moreton Bay are going to have the advantage in those team fights. Whoever pulls the trigger first is probably going to take away the victory in each fight.
Precisely, as we are onto the rift for potentially the last game of today. Mountain Creek up 1-0 in the best of 3 series already, and I mean, I definitely think they're my favorite to take out game 2 and take this to a very swift 2-0 victory, which, I mean, you do tend to see in these first few rounds of playoffs while we're trying to tear everyone down, but when we get into semi-finals, or not semi-finals, quarterfinals next week, semi-finals the week after, is when the competition really starts heating up, and we're about to see some quality League of Legends coming out for the rest of these weeks, but finally, it is our last time for both these schools to prove if they have what it takes to compete against the very best. And Moreton Bay on their last life here, fighting for survival 1-0 down versus Mountain Creek. When to begin into this game?
I'm excited to get into this as well, replays. Like as you said, Mountain Creek are looking real strong, from their performance last game. But I would love to see Moreton Bay, turn this around. As much as my heart is telling me Moreton Bay are going to win this, my brain is in complete disagreement with my heart. I don't see any universe where Mountain Creek loses this.
I mean, look, you could just... Yasuo could go 0-20, all right? It's a possibility.
It is. I suppose that is
Yasuo, it's a good chance this is going to be the case. As we see both these junglers... I mean... The last game, we had a very clear focus for where these junglers want to play towards. Obviously, they both want to play towards that top side. But in a game like this, it's a lot more balanced. And these junglers, I mean, I would probably say this mid lane is where you want to focus towards. Yasuo, Zed, a very volatile matchup. Two of those classic assassins that you just... bronze Yas mains, bronze Zed mains. Just perma-feeding champions. It's a very volatile matchup. Once one of these two players gets ahead, gets a kill or two above their opponent, especially around that level 6 point, it's going to be very explosive and could snowball quite easily. Down to the spot side as well, the Yuumi, if, obviously Yuumi Ez is extremely safe and very hard to gank towards, but, if Zach can land some good CC and then help set up for Amumu to come in, the blue side has 2 real lanes they can look to play towards, or vice versa, right? So this bot and middle is where I want to see these junglers focus towards. The top side's a bit more of a more trend. It's going to be what it is. It's not really going to matter who gets ahead in that matchup. And that's not really a matchup that can be swayed easily either way too. Obviously, Trynd going for Ignite means he's looking for a bit of something. But
a nice elastic slingshot gets it onto both of them. Ezreal is locked in place. He doesn't have the Arcane Shift just yet. Looks like he'll get taken out. The exhaust comes out. Yuumi jumps onto him, takes the Void Seeker, and actually going to keep her AD carry alive a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's both sums gone from Ez. Obviously does have the Arcane Shift available in just a second if he levels up soon. But until then, yeah, he'd be looking very vulnerable to see... Oh, Amumu, good win wall under the Yasuo there.
Nice use of Rainbow to block that bandage toss. We see up top lane, looks pretty standard right now. No real major CS discrepancy as Mordekaiser has a larger wave to farm up now. Honestly, I'm so happy that this game is still in a stalemate point, but obviously no one has any key abilities. No one's quite hit level 6 yet. And at that moment, things are going to take a real sharp turn.
Yeah, exactly right. Once we get those, level 6 abilities out, the impactful ultimates could definitely change how all these lane matchups go. And that's one of the biggest power points for all of these, champions in the game. You've got to play around those power spikes on that level 6 ultimate. And, if you get that level 6 first, it's that opportunity, especially in a lane like mid. If Yasuo can get the last breath first before Zed can get his, what's it called?
Death Mark?
Deathmark, that was called Deathmark. Yeah, if he can get that off, obviously he can dodge the knock up and therefore deny the last breath. But if Zed gets it first, can jump onto Yas before he's even able to reply with a tornado. So very volatile around that level 6, and we're just waiting. Junglers is the big difference. Yasuo is just dumbstring Zed early on though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as expected, right? Yasuo, very strong laner, very good lane bully, obviously able to dodge through those minions quite effectively. Into pretty much every melee matchup he wins early on, just due to the fact that his Q serves as a second auto attack, so he's able to do a lot more DPS than most other mid laners are able to do, especially if they're spellcasters like Orianna or Vladimir, etc. But in this matchup in particular, right, Zed relies on his W cooldown to look for trade opportunities. Yasuo just trades on his sweeping blade at cooldown. We see this massive wave built up on the top side by Mordekaiser.
Yeah, and I'm really happy with how... This could be bad. As Kaiser gets jumped straight on by Ezreal and Yuumi. Now his exhaust coming out. There's a nice section coming out of Zach. He's trying his best to attach it to him and he pulls him back. However, look what we have here. We have a Malphite floating around that bot side. He doesn't quite have that ultimate available, but it looks like both bot lanes are just going to reset.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Lil Liam on this Ezreal is playing quite well. Obviously, had those double sums bust out early on by the fantastic engage by KranklerGG, but again, he's actually showing quite good mastery over this Ezreal pick, and I honestly expected it to pick up a ban since it was probably the most fed carry in the last game, right? As we see heavy trades again in this mid lane. I want to see these junglers have some impact. I saw Amumu kind of try to go for a gank around mid lane, but Malphite has been very, very quiet. Obviously, kind of relies on level 6-2 gank, but still hasn't been around to kind of counter. And I expected Amumu to be a lot more proactive in this early game.
Yeah, so did I. He's had that one gank attempt. He's not even trying to show his face anywhere else. It's just really hard to target any of these lanes, especially the only real lane to target is that top lane for Mordekaiser, as everywhere else pretty much has some of the easiest escapes you could imagine.
Yeah, exactly right. It's going to be able to just try and help snowball those matchups. You see, down the middle, level 6 is available here in mid, so if the junglers are trying to find the time to work towards getting their lanes ahead, this would be looking towards that time, especially once Malphite hits his level 6. You could expect maybe him and Yasuo to roam down bot lane and try to pick up a double kill on this Kaiser and Zac lane, because if you land that unstoppable force, it is the classic Yasuo combination. Yas Malphite or Yas Gragas, I suppose, is the other one. But
oh my, there's an engage here coming out onto Yasuo. That wind wall is available, so he may use it to block the banish shots. Yes, he does. But there's a Malphite. He's ready to jump in. He doesn't have the ultimate. Is Hurtle going to get taken out before he can do anything? Unfortunately, yes, he will. And TenTen is just forced to back away.
Yeah, and Kawasaki Nuki again getting the first kill in that main matchup as he did last game. However, has been unable to convert that into win. But hopefully on the Zed, a champion that snowballs so effectively, one of those assassins that once they get ahead are just so oppressive, he could maybe try and snowball this into a win for his team. We see Zac going for engage. Yeah,
Zac really getting aggressive there. I'm a little bit shocked that he was so trying to push forward so heavily. But the junglers are going to have a much bigger impact moving forwards now, as they're both about to hit level 6, and we're about to see some major fights come out.
I mean, you'd hope so, right? But again, it's one of those things where the engage tools are in the jungle, so it relies on Malphite, of course, having that engage. Zac here in the bot lane is probably the only other answer, but he's very, very low with his passive.
Well, he's forced to go into the cell division. Is a true shot barrage available? No, Ezreal's not level 6, so nothing's going to come out yet, but here comes Amumu up top lane. Bandage shots onto the Mordekaiser, locking him down. Curse of a sad mummy. And just, unfortunately for him, he's pulled into the Shadow Realm. I think that's just Mordekaiser trying to buy time for himself. He's got a nice shield prepared. Once he comes out, he keeps himself alive a little bit longer. Maybe he can take Tryndamere with him. The Undying Rage will keep him up for now. And he will back away with a sliver of health.
It's a good gank by Amumu. I mean, I think the first jungler gank we've had since the start of this series. So a successful first gank, I think. And of course, getting that not first blood, but getting that kill up there on the top side means that Tryndamere could potentially start snowballing into that side lane threat that you want him to be, right? When you pick Trynd, you want Trynd to be ahead and able to, at least force 2 people to come and answer him when he's splitting in that side lane to draw pressure away from those major objectives. But again, 1 kill won't just be enough. Interesting build too, going from Teammate into Krill. I mean, I don't think I've seen a Tryndamere in, oh god, like years. I can't remember the last time I played. I have zero Tryndamere in this game. Like, it's so long.
He's made a little bit of a resurgence recently, but I don't think he's that impactful. I'd say he's about low B tier as a champion, and that's only in like solo queue. In competitive, he's less valuable, obviously, due to the fact that he is like such a solo queue-esque champion with the ability to split push and just roll his lane. But he just doesn't contribute much to team fights, and oh no, this could be really bad for TenTen here. Kawasaki's? That's a little bit strange. I actually really thought that fight was going to be a little bit more hectic.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, especially with the support of KranklerGG here, could have gone for something in Amumu on that red buff on the bot side, but maybe Zach getting caught out here in the Dragon Pit.
Oh my god, the elastic slingshot just get cancelled. He gets knocked off on the last breath as well. Yasuo, he flashes over the wall to get away. Hurtle narrowly misses out getting another kill there. Actually, Mordekaiser does a fair bit of damage up top lane, doesn't he, replays?
Yeah, I mean, Mordekaiser, a very strong champion. Ocean Dragon the prize there, but KranklerGG just escaping. Everything burnt there. Malphite ult, Yasuo ult coming down too, and unable to pick up a kill onto the Zac, who's gone back to base now, will heal up, and only had to draw the flash to get away. I mean, Ocean Drag does go over. Obviously, that's a start to the soul, which is one of the key objectives. But with Infernal as our next dragon, with Infernal and Ocean being off the table, the Infernal Soul is not actually going to make...
Oh, there's a killer instinct coming up from Kaiser after a nice banish shots from Amumu. Quick kill falling over there. Maybe they'll go for Yuumi, maybe not. And it looks like they'll just back away.
Yeah, Yuumi unable to go down, and that's one of the things about Yuumi. Such a strong champion when she's attached, but if in a team fight she ever gets caught, not on one of her teammates, she's so squishy and goes down to like 2 autos to pretty much any champion. I reckon a Karthus auto would even take her down.
That's like the worst auto in the game, but you're so right.
Yuumi auto worse than Karthus?
No? Okay. I thought that maybe that elastic slingshot was going to come out and they'd try to kill the Yuumi, but seems like not going to be the case.
I don't know if they could dive Yuumi with last chapter after on the tower.
Maybe not, especially with Ezreal was making his way down. That would have been quite dangerous.
He's got any night too, so I actually don't reckon they would have been able to pull that off.
Yeah.
I mean, has a future barrage of it. I interested to see Conquer on Ezreal too. I don't even know what you take on Ez since Omnistone got removed. Oh, not Omnistone. What's it called? The coin. What's the coin?
Kleptomancy.
Yeah,
that's long gone though.
Yeah, what is Ez?
I see Conqueror Ez fairly often still. I'm trying to remember the other runes that I see. I've seen Glacial, but I find that one weird.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose I guess it makes the skill shots easy to hit, right?
You know what I said? That just get good.
Just get good. Didn't you?
I can't hit Ezreal skill shots. I take Glacial.
Didn't you say you got like flagged for scripting one time because you played against an Ez mid and like didn't hit a skill shot the whole time?
Yeah, that was an interesting day. I was really angry.
That was pretty funny to see. It's been a very quiet game. I mean, 3-0 early on, but it just has been a very, these two schools have just that, I don't know what it is, but the first game had a very similar vibe to this. And this is a little bit better, a little bit more engaged, a little bit more fighting happening, and a little bit more big abilities being burnt in comparison to that first game. But again, this lane phase has been very controlled, very calm. Both these teams just farming up, trying to get as much CS as possible.
I think we're about to see something come out bot lane here, replays. As Kaiser doing the best that she can last chapter. However, look behind. There is a Malphite as well on top of the force. Misses, hitting nobody. There's the Let's Bounce coming out of Zac. Trying to do the best he can. Unfortunately, I believe his Cell Division's down. No, it's not. And here we go. Malphite's trying to get under there, but he's tanking Tower and tanking Kaiser. There's the knockup from Yasuo. Here comes Zed. Gets a quick kill onto the Malphite. However, there's a death marker being used to consume that. A little bit too much healing coming out. Now we see everyone's trying to climb onto Kaiser, but they can't take her down. There's a Remember Banitros misses. Curse of the Sad Mummy is available, but it won't do enough damage. There we see the killer instinct from Kaiser jumping forward. There's a last breath coming out of Yasuo. He's trying to do as much damage as he can. Unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to be enough, and he will fall as well. 3 for 1 going over to Moreton Bay, and it looks like 4 for 1 once they take down this Yuumi. Triple kill for Kawasaki Nuki, and it looks like Tryndamere may fall as well. That was hectic all over the map.
I mean, these two schools making me regret saying that these skills are a bit boring, but damn, explosive fight across the map, and this is huge for Kawasaki Nuki on this Zed. 5-0 now. It's all going to be on him now to really take this team. Moreton Bay Boys College, I didn't think they had a chance in this game, but you know, now that they're ahead, now that they've started to snowball on these Fed Assassins, 4,000 gold in their favor, it's looking pretty good for this Zed. If he can start roaming around the map, maybe meet it with Amumu a little bit more, this game could definitely go to, sorry, this series could definitely go to game 3.
I would love to see that, to be honest. So, how do you... No, I want to ask you something. Obviously, Moreton Bay is ahead so far, right? They've got a nice gold lead, they've got a nice kill lead, and they've got some really fed carries who are hopefully going to be able to do the damage moving into the late game.
Yes.
I would like to briefly go over, how do you think Mountain Creek could pull this back? They obviously showed superior skill in game 1.
Yeah. Look, I mean, their disadvantage is they're going to win these team fights super hard, right? The reason why they're doing well in the early game is because Zed's bought those Ninja Tabi, which pretty much nullifies Yasuo's lane since most of his damage is auto attack based. The Q, Steel Tempest, counts as an auto attack. So that's one tip. If you're ever laning against Yasuo and you don't need to go a certain type of boost, if you get Ninja Tabi, you're pretty much, it's so difficult for him to kill you in lane. Like he's really weak against Ninja Tabi, the item itself. However, now that in team fights, the red side just has so much better synergies, right? They have the Unstoppable Force from the Malphite, combo with Last Breath, which is a huge combination and it makes a huge difference in these team fights. Ezreal as well has such strong backline damage, and while a strong frontline in Mordekaiser and Malphite is going to make it very difficult to get to Yuumi Ezreal, who's going to have a lot of healing and a lot of slipperiness, and Ezreal in these mid-game fights is going to be doing a lot of damage. And, you know, if the dive from Amumu, as you see, doing a bit of diving onto Ezreal right now.
Oh, that's a nice last exchange into the backline. However, it looks like Yoshida is caught between a rock and a hard place. Malphite over the wall. Now we see Zach trying to do the best that he can. True Shot Barrage does narrowly hit, but they're trying to run away. Kaiser trying to get away from this Malphite. Unstoppable Force away. That was a little bit interesting, but Yasuo was obviously not in range to Last Breath. Now, we get to see if these teams want to fight over the Infernal Dragon. Here comes a teleport out of CuteZergling. Tryndamere has the Ignite, so he can't come and join it, so there's a numbers advantage. Dragon goes over towards Mountain Creek, secured by the Malphite. Elastic Slingshot away by Zach to try to get as much distance as he can. But that's the second Dragon over towards Mountain Creek.
Yeah, I mean, in that first of the souls, the Mountain Dragon now updating the Mountain Soul, but those first two drags going over to Mountain Creek means once again they're looking for an early soul. The one thing I will say though is, you know, that was exactly what I'm talking about. The one difficulty that Ezreal has is that, the one thing that Moreton Bay has to do in a team fight to execute it correctly is get on top of Ezreal and blow him up before Gas blows up the rest of the backline. Decayed, if he can get in and get a decent killer instinct onto the backline and blow up Ez, then they'll be able to do that. But the problem with Ezreal Yuumi is it's just so slippery. The last chapter from Yuumi just slows and CCs everyone who's chasing Ezreal down. Ezreal has the Arcane Shift, plus, you know, his flash as well, right, to escape anything that comes his way. Probably builds a balk later on into the game too. So just a very slippery AD carry overall. And so this dive that's designed to lock him down, given that Curse of the Sad Mummy has a huge radius, so, you know, I don't know if Ez can Arcane Shift out of range of... you definitely will be able to, right? It couldn't be longer than a flash. But regardless, right, they have got an ability to lock him down. Zach as well, able to dive very effectively. And, you know, if they can dive onto Ez and take him out, then the blue side can definitely win these team fights. But for Mountain Creek to get back into this game, still 4k behind, they will have to win these mid-game team fights super hard.
Now is that in mid lane? Will it be enough to assassinate him? Yes, it will. Ezreal falling down. Yumi's left around that mid tower. I wonder if she'll stand up. Uh-oh. Vanish toss onto Mordekaiser. Kaiser gets that nice jump over the wall for Blast Cone. Pulled into the Shadow Realm. CuteZergling is going to try to do his best. Killer Instincts to back away. Here comes Zed from on top. He's still in the Shadow Realm. Got that nice Zonias to try to buy as much time as he can. But I think it was pointless as he falls down. 1v4.
Yeah, all four members rotating up there. Zed once again pick up another kill. And looks like their prize for that catch will be this Rift Herald taken away as the rest of the team is resetting in base. Maybe the Ezreal ult can take it away, but I don't think it'll get there in time.
No, unfortunately not. And Kaiser picks up the Herald. I wonder what they're going to do with it. They got a little bit of time to use it if they really want to. Like, they've got a decent chunk of lead, and I honestly feel like Moreton Bay are going to want to end this game in no more than 10 minutes. I think the game is going to really turn into a struggle if they take too long to end this.
Yeah, I mean, precisely. The longer this game goes, the more Zed falls off. The assassins get worse and worse, and the stronger Yasuo gets, right? Yasuo is famously a late game carry, and, you know, Mountain Creek win 5v5, so that's pretty much how it's going to go. So Moreton Bay really need to make sure they're 1-3 running effectively, and they need to put a little bit more resources into downtown Detroit, because that's the way they're going to win this game, through that split push with Tryndamere on the side, because Mordekaiser eventually is going to be unable to handle him. He kind of can't already. He's falling behind immediately as you see this Rift Tower being dropped mid lane.
Yeah, Rift Tower finally coming out. I think they're going to use it to break open the tower. They've got the Demolish proc up. Malphite, a little bit caught out there. Remember, there's a nice bandage shot to an unstoppable force away. And I feel like that's the team fight from Mountain Creek just immediately like gone. Like, obviously, no unstoppable force means there's no engage onto either Kawasaki. So I think, I don't know. I just feel like that that used to be unstoppable force, while defensive for Malphite, really just digs his team in a little bit deeper into their graves.
Yeah, you need to make sure you're using that ultimate in combination with the last breath to effectively work that combination off and really make sure you're getting a lot of damage down. The one thing I will be worried about, though, is it's all AD on the side of Moreton Bay BC. Of course, Amumu could have gone full AP, but have opted for the tank Amumu instead, as has the Malphite. So there's not as much varied damage coming out of Moreton Bay. So, you know, this Malphite's going to get more value. One of those famous armored stackers, Malphite and Ramus, those two champions that just stack a ridiculous amount of armor and make it impossible for ADs to do any damage. Thankfully, though, Kaiser will be doing a little bit of damage with, of course, her, a bit of AP damage. The only problem that the Ezreal, hopefully the only problem for Mountain Creek will be Yuumi going down if Ezreal is able to pick up his Iceborne Gauntlet. Generally, Ezreal upgrades his Sheen either into a Trinity Force or Iceborne Gauntlet, depending on how far ahead he is or depending on the game state. When you're into full AD, and when your job is to stay alive and survive a Zed dive or a Kaiser dive, you need to have that little bit of extra armor to help you survive. And the extra damage you get from Triforce isn't going to matter when you've got a Yasuo and Mordekaiser on your team. So hopefully, Ezreal opts to go for the Iceborne Gauntlet over the Trinity Force. But if that's the case, he could definitely be susceptible to being blown up by the 6 and 0 Z.
Yeah, I feel like something might happen here in just a second. We've got everyone kind of grouping up, and then the banish from a Mumu Curse beside Mummy is still available. Looks like Tryndamere is real low, having to burn that ultimate. There's a Curse beside Mummy finally coming out. There's a Lost Chapter. There's a Last Breath as well, and they're just falling down like flies on the side of Moreton Bay here. However, it looks like Mountain Creek is doing their best, trying to take down Kawasaki. Down goes Krankler in the fight. However, now we see, look at this. Hurtle is the Hurtle that is the last breath for Moreton Bay. And so they're going to end up securing their first Mountain Drake on their way to that Soul Dragon.
Yeah, one more of Soul Point after that team fight. And you can see there in the 5v5, if you're able to land these bigger... Oh, maybe not yet.
Not quite.
No jungle for either side, but obviously the numbers advantage means they'll take it out. But again, that was a very close fight from both sides. Mountain Creek, you can see Yasuo, once this fight, once the burst abilities on the Zed are gone, kind of used, once Kaiser's used most of her abilities, he just cleans up with this consistent damage. And same as the Ezreal, if he was able to survive, unfortunately got blown up instantly. But obviously doesn't have any armor yet, as you see. That Glacial Shroud indicates he will be going towards, of course, the... I keep calling it Frozen Fist because that's the one upgrade, but it's called the Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Will give him a lot more survivability in these fights, and Ezreal is going to be very strong the later we get into this game. And Yasuo just completing his Infinity Edge PD spike, so both the carries online for Mountain Creek, and that first team fight was definitely went in Mountain Creek's favor, but was a lot closer than what you'd anticipate. Man, this next game is going to be this next team fight is going to be heavily in the favor of the red side, I believe.
Yeah, I do want to briefly comment that I believe it was Yasuo for Hurtle who got a kill on Kawasaki. A really massive shutdown going over to him, really going to help him propel his build forwards. Because look at this, he's got these 2 item powers, he's got the Infinity Edge, he's got the Phantom Dancer. So Yasuo really has hit that key point now.
Yeah,
and as we're looking at it, we see we've seen 2 Ninja Tabis out from Mountain Creek. I'm a little bit shocked to not see Ninja Tabis out of, say, Ezreal, but I suppose he is trying to get as much cooldown reduction as he can.
Yeah, I think Lucidity's core isn't it, one is?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you get loose bits every game, unless like you need magic pen if you're going like APS or something. But who plays APS? It's like playing AP Lucian. Yeah, but again, it's still this 4K gold lead has been pretty stable for the last 10 minutes or so for Moreton Bay. Obviously, still ahead and still able to, cash in this victory. But the longer this game goes, the harder it's going to be.
It looks like Zed is having a real tough time. Zed death mark onto Mordekaiser. Doesn't decide to go back in here. Solo Hessian does charge back in, but there's a Malphite now. It's straight in the middle of Moreton Bay. Boys got just team comp here. He gets a nice unstoppable force rather. There's a last chapter coming out of Yumi. Now Mordekaiser, who has those stolen Zed stats, he is quite strong. Elastic slingshot from Zed. He tries to get onto Malphite and does manage to stop him, which does slow down the chase a little bit. Now we see that Yumi. Actually, I'm really disappointed that. But you know what? Yasuo's up in that top lane now. They're going to be able to push that tower down and force Moreton Bay back.
Yeah, I mean, that was an unfortunate pick off there. Kawasaki Nuki getting it caught out, and the rest of his team unable to really come and help him. Kaiser was busy clearing out the mid lane, and that top tower does go down. Is it the first tower of the game to Mountain Creek? I believe it is. So, opening up their tower account. Moreton Bay, of course, quite ahead in that manner, mostly in the lead, right, when it comes down to this game. As you can see, the later this game goes, the more impact these team fights are going to have, and could be dangerous.
That's a nice elastic slingshot coming in there. Luke gets caught out there. That is real unfortunate. Tryndamere falls down quickly, so does Mordekaiser. Now, are we going to see the chase? The Death Mark gets dropped by Zed. He's trying to do as much damage as he can. Yumi hops around. There's nice wind wall coming out of Yasuo, re-blocking those shurikens. But now, Spanish was coming out of Amumu as well, trying to chase up, follow up with his team fight. Unfortunately, his team doesn't decide to join him. And this game almost reminds me of the first match, although not to such a heavy degree, of the fights just being so haphazard.
That fight could have been mad. Yasuo landed a 2-man knock-up onto the Kaiser and Zac, low-health Zac, and then squishy Kaiser, and just didn't take the ult. He should have taken the ult and gone for the big play. Would have killed both of them, comboed that into taking down the Zed. Had Ignite up and Flash available, so Hurtle definitely could have gone for a play, but instead decided that the tower was just enough, backed off with the rest of his team, and looks like they'll be focusing towards this Mountain Dragon that spawns in about a minute.
I believe that Lil Liam was a little scared then when he saw Zed getting real close to him across that wall. I was like, does Zed feel it in his bones? No, unfortunately, he doesn't have any vision on that side of the map, so he couldn't see Lil Liam. That would have been dangerous.
Those spider senses just tingling there, but couldn't find the Ezreal just yet, and Lil Liam survives a little bit longer. Do you know, is it even worth getting GA third on Ez to survive a Zed burst? Because I think if you get GA right, they don't have follow-up to burst you once they take you down once, right? And you've got enough armor to kind of survive the Zed and Kaiser burst.
I suppose you could do it. I think it's potentially one of the viable options. However, Soul is up now for Mountain Creek if they do manage to get it, so I think they'll be fighting here. We start seeing a little bit of a split fight coming out here. Tryndamere doing the best he can, splitting up. However, Hurtle sort of zoning them back. We need Hurtle and TenTen to stick together. We need that Unstoppable Force Last Breath combo. I wonder if we're just going to see it, because look at how fit this Zed is. They need to get on top of him. They need to get onto Kaiser. Those are the only two important members.
DowntownDetroit is very fair. He's got 2 crit items already and has got the ultimate available, so we'll be...
That's Unstoppable Force into the last breath as it comes down. Curse of a Sad Mummy as well. However, Decayed now. He's trying to get away from the Malphite solo TenTen. Look at that quick kill. Now, look at this. Zed falls over towards Ezreal. DowntownDetroit trying to run away as best as he can. And he's one of the last bastions to reside. And Mountain Creek looked like they're really starting to pull this game back. They had that little lead, and that is just bad for Tryndamere as he gets kind of pulled into the Shadow Realm. He should fall down, but now it looks like CuteZergling is going to try to chase down this Kaiser. Gets a nice Killer Instinct in to back away. That was really fast paced there.
I mean, that was a huge team fight coming out of Mountain Creek, and that has just pretty much wrapped up the game. Mountain Soul grabbed at 28 minutes, and I mean, it's still a long way to go. A lot of towers to get to that Nexus, but Moreton Bay coming from that early lead Kawasaki Nuki just so strong, can't even take out the Ezreal now. That Iceborne Gauntlet giving him enough armor to survive the Zed. You can see that team fight was just going on multiple fronts. There was obviously the Zed fighting against Ezreal in the backline. Yasuo was, taking out the 2 frontline carries. Interesting to see that they are using that ult on, the Amumu, which has the Thorn Mails, which pretty much counters any of Yas's damage. And, the fact that Zach as well has built this Spirit Visage first up, given the fact that both Ezreal and Yasuo are full AD dealers, and the only thing the Spirit Visage really helps with is the Mordekaiser. I mean, the front line, like, once this Yasuo punches through the front line, Kai'Sa is just so left alone, and she's so squishy right now, unable to take anything out.
This is really bad. Kai'Sa's really low. Malphite did an undeniable amount, huge amount of damage there. And now this could be really bad for Moreton Bay, as they've lost one of their main carries. All they've got left is that Zed. Mumu just getting locked down. He has Curse for Sad Mumu, will drop it. But he basically falls 1v4 to the Mountain Creek lineup. They have the sword. They have so much shielding. It's going to be really difficult for Moreton Bay to win these fights from now on, as you've mentioned. And it looks like they're going to secure the Baron at this point, because I don't think that Moreton Bay can really stand up against it.
No, Mountain Bay can't walk in here. The Kai'Sa's down. Their jungle is down too. They can't really contest, and the last breath is still available on that Yasuo. So even if Zed or Tryndamere with his Undying Rage, I don't know what his ultimate's called.
Undying Rage.
Undying Fury, something like that. Even if they do come into this, they're just not going to be able to.
That's not straight in. Maybe they can get this. No, Mordekaiser will secure the Dragon Baron for his team, rather.
Oh, no slide on TenTen.
Yeah, no smite on TenTen, sadly.
You can see, I mean, this is...
Mark coming out from there, gets exhausted, which will reduce his damage output massively. He will end up falling down. Kawasaki gets one more quick kill, and he will end up trading his life. I think carry for support, not so worth.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Yumi there trying to pick up a kill. Zed caught on the backside of that fight. Got that little pick why he's coming up. But, I mean, it's just... This game now is in one of those states where it's very much we're just waiting for Mountain Creek to kind of come through and end the game, or find some avenue for Moreton Bay to get into it. Tryndamere needs to be hard splitting right now. He needs to just be sitting in top lane or bot lane and just pushing the lane, waiting for them to come, waiting for them to back off and just push, and try to take down these towers as soon as possible, because they can't beat him in the 5v5. The team fight from Mountain Creek is way too strong. And in these side lanes now with the Baron buff, it's so difficult for Trynd to push against it. And Yasuo is fed enough, Mordekaiser are fed enough that they can deal with Tryndamere in these side lanes. So for Moreton Bay Boys College, once again, they're staring down the barrel of, it's very, very strong for them to really come back into this game.
Yeah, and I mentioned it earlier that they kind of have that weird draft that doesn't quite synergize as much as, say, Mountain Creek's draft, which is very simple to execute and quite effective. So we mentioned how it was about like so much attack damage and physical damage coming out of Moreton Bay. We see the Ninja Targets, we see the Formula, we see the Glacial, what is it? Frozen Heart, sorry. From Malphite as well. There's just so much. I'm a little shocked not to see a stopwatch being built out of like Liam or Hurtle to really like negate that death mark from Zed. So that's about the only real odd thing I see. But
yeah,
Moreton Bay are starting to struggle as they reach that late game, and obviously more and more armor gets built by the tanks. And obviously, a lot of people don't know this, or don't realize at least, that armor items are just so cheap.
Yeah, I suppose they are, right? Especially Thorn Mails is just such a strong item. It just counters pretty much every AD carry in the game, as we see. What did that damage to Kai'Sa?
Well,
Ezreal.
I think we're about to see the big team fight break. They're cracking open the base here. Mountain Creek will just get that top tower. Maybe they'll rotate towards mid lane, try to push the outer here, or maybe they'll go for a bit of an end here. They have the Baron buff available. Looks like they are going to slowly step forward. Kawasaki Nuki is sitting in that backline. He needs to get onto Lil Liam there. And then he has top of force on top of the last breath, and that is just horrendous! Curse of the Sad Mummy tries to negate what happens out of it, but unfortunately it looks like so many kills are going over to Hurtle, it doesn't even matter. And pretty much the entirety of Moreton Bay drops. And they are just forced off their Nexus towers, and it's going to get taken down one by one. Only a couple minions left. So that tower is going to fall a lot slower now. Looks like they can just keep tanking it up. Look at TenTen, he's taking so much of that tower damage. Another kill goes. And I think this is just GG. Mountain Creek show us how you win a game of League of Legends.
Yeah, I mean, there we go. And unfortunately, for that means Moreton Bay Boys College is unfortunately out of the Queensland League of Legends High School Championship. And I mean, a very convincing 2-0 there from their opponents on the red side. I mean, coming into this game, I definitely had them picked as favorites, but Moreton Bay Boys College put up a very nice fight and was able to actually stay in that game for a lot longer than what I expected.
Yeah, same here. I expected them to fall maybe 5 to 10 minutes earlier because of their comp, but honestly, I think that early lead that they took really helped them try to hold onto the game as long as they could. They had, I think it was like a 6,000 gold lead at most at one point.
Yeah, exactly right.
I was a little bit worried that Red Side would, not be able to hold on for as long as they did. But obviously they had that scaling team comp, easy to execute combos, and each of the players really complemented each other well and enabled the team to, pull through in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, there was dramatic improvement from game 1 to game 2 from both sides. And it was very good that both Mountain Creek and Moreton Bay were able to recognize the errors that they both made in game 1 in draft in particular, and we're able to kind of remedy that for the second game. I mean, obviously not completely in draft isn't the game as a whole, but you could definitely see even in that second game, just the fact that both sides had, available engage tools means that it's much easier to make stuff happen, make fights happen, close out a game where you want to do, and it's easy to contest objectives when you have, more than just like a zillion speed up as your engage.
Yeah, and just looking at it in general, we saw so much more fighting as we were talking about. Every little bit of an engage was, you could see things starting to unfold. Like you could start seeing Amumu's positioning to get a bandage toss, Curves of the Sad Mummy, Malphite getting ready to unstoppable force onto the Kaiser. And obviously those last breaths followed up by Yasuo were, I think, the key to the victory that the team took hold in the second round.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Mountain Creek means they will be advancing on to our top 16 bracket into probably the main bit of finals for who they'll be playing against. As we have a look here, it looks like they'll be coming up against McGregor, which is a very, very strong side and probably one of our main contenders for one of the champions this split. McGregor, Indooroopilly State High School, Mansfield Minotaurs, and Rochdale Rhinos. Those top 4 teams, if you're looking at how well everyone has been going recently. So it's going to be very interesting to see these teams come together in the future weeks. And of course, once again, thank you everyone for tuning in to this week. What was it? I don't know what we call this week. It's kind of like first week of finals, but like pseudo tiebreakers. I don't know what we call it, but the first round of playoffs for the Queensland High School League of Legends Championship. I was also like to thank our sponsors, Legion by Lenovo, for supporting us on this broadcast. And of course, thanks, Kana, for joining us once again here today. We should be back next week around 4 o'clock for another best of 3 series. So can't wait for that. Actually, before I do go, we did forget to give the MVP out of the series.
Oh, okay.
What about that, actually?
Who do you think deserves to have it replaced? I
mean, from the first game, it's very hard to pick an MVP. But if I look at the first game and the second game together, I think Lil Liam on the Ezreal played the best today. Hurtle did pretty well too. It's a toss-up between Hurtle and Lil Liam, but I probably have to give it to the Ezreal for just consistency. He was very good in both those 2 games.
Agreed. I think he was the most consistent. I think Hurtle played phenomenally in game 2. Not so good in game 1, but I think Hurtle will get my MVP for
No, I'm going to let you finish here, but Raiden right there was probably the best support, dropping those big heals, big saves. Raiden MVP, what?
Max coming into just style on us replays.
Gotta love Max coming in to do his duty. I mean, he could have been casting this game, but instead was off doing work for Rocket League. But gotta love that. Anyways, we'd once again like to thank all of you for tuning in to this week of the Queensland High School League of Legends Championship, presented to you by Legion by Lenovo. I was Mitch Replays Anderson. I was joined by Josh Kana, Ionu, and we'll see you next time. Good night.